going on, family? How goes it? How goes it? Get your libations, get whatever you need for the show. Get your tea, your chamomile, um, or whatever, your water, your hydration that you missed out on doing today. Because we got to have a conversation. We got to have a conversation about OWN. And we're going to have that conversation and about Oprah and about what that means. But first, as usual, let's get down to brass tacks. Let's get down to business. On the 23rd of May, that's a Thursday, we will be having the book club. Those of you who know, we will be discussing the book club. We're going to have the book club meeting. We're going to have the discussion. We are going to have the conversation. So if you are inclined, please pick up the book. Please pick up the book if you are so inclined. That would be much appreciated because we're going to have the conversation. And one of the things about having these conversations that, like I said before, I've talked about this book a lot because it undergirds a lot in terms of recent. You know, we talked a lot about Reconstruction when that documentary came out. Recently, PBS, the Reconstruction documentary. But we got to take it. We got to take it all the way from there, the end of slavery, during slavery, to other stuff we're gonna read. But we got to bring it forward too, to like some modern time stuff to show you like this is. We have to show part of the political foundation is showing what the accrued disadvantage looks like. So that's what we're doing. So also, please. That's May 23rd again. That's a Thursday, Monday, Wednesday show, and then Thursday the book club. Please hit that like button for me. Also hit that subscribe, hit that bell if you have not done that already. I would appreciate it if you would do that as well. And if you want to donate, as always, go to donatebrown.com. You can go to patreon.com/ycarnell. All of that good stuff. Those of you who ordered 2X's on the shirts, those came in. I'll pick them up tomorrow and we'll be good to go. And I'll pack them up and send them out probably this weekend or luckily Friday. So that is that. And you can also subscribe to the newsletter. And when you subscribe, you should receive something that allows you to unsubscribe if you want to. So you don't have to necessarily, look for it, or if you want to, even if you don't see it, you can Google it. So it's easy. It's not something that catches you up and you stuck. I don't know what to do. I'm stuck. My $2. No, it's easy to get out. So fam, let me just say this. The reason this is so important because we've had this whole conversation about we got to have our own. We got to do our own. And Oprah named her network OWN, Oprah Winfrey Network. And so I thought this would be a good opportunity since she is having conversations about her life and her what she's been involved with, her endeavors, if you will, I thought this would be a good idea for us to kind of dissect that. Now, for those of you who are not used to deconstructing and dissecting, understand that this is not about hatred. This is not about, oh, you hating on Oprah. You have to grow up. And what growing up means is that you have to be willing to dissect and deconstruct everything. It means that there are no sacred cows. And when we talk about business, we have to assess business too. And we have to see how this has affected her and impacted her qualitatively and quantitatively. And how it impacts, more importantly, the group. Because when we do stuff, the individual is not the apex. The same thing with Antonio's Jay-Z video. The individual is about the group. It's about the collective. So when you talk about having your own, what does that mean and how successful have you been at it? Because I know a lot of you, when Lonzo Ball came out with them shoes or whatever, and we talked about how that wasn't going to work, a lot of people were like, oh, Yvette and Tone just be hating on black business. Y'all just some haters. And it ain't work. It wasn't the fact that we were haters. We saw the limitation. We know that shoes is not just about being able to build a shoe. It's about the network and distribution and the factories and everything that goes along with that shoe, the back end of the shoe. You can't just be the front end of the shoe. And what we have seen with people like Oprah and others is that they have been there to kind of push product as opposed to be a real company. So you're there to be the storefront, but everything else, all of the wealth and the back and the structure of it and the plumbing, and it's all white capital. So this is kind of what got my attention this morning. I saw this quote. So I want you to look at this, and I'm going to show you the long quote in a minute. But I want you to just look at this quote from the Hollywood Reporter that they got from Oprah. And it really got me to just, I had another show planned for today actually, and I was like, no, I have to talk about this. As an icon of inspiration, Oprah knows her impact. I remember, she says, I remember my friends would say, actually, people in college who were not my friends would say, oh, you're a token. And I'd be like, yes, I'm a paid token and I'm going to use it. I'm a paid token and I'm going to use it. I want you to hold that, put that in your hat, pin it, highlight it, do whatever you got to do to hold on to it. You gotta hold on to that, because we have to come back to this quote, and I want you to look at this quote and think about this quote, because we're going to come back to it. But there's something that I have to say about this specific quote. And here's the long kind of part of it. You know, there's a longer part that I want to just show you. And this is what the Hollywood Reporter asked. What happens when there's only one? And Oprah says it's hard to be heard when there's only one. I remember my friend saying, and we just talked about that, you're a token. And she says, anytime I've been in a situation where I felt marginalized, someone else was marginalized, I've used that information as what not to do. For example, when the Oprah show first aired, I went to management and the ABC owned, I won't name names, and she talked about how she got the women paid or whatever. That's what she talks about. And I want to just go into something about tokenism really quickly. And I want to talk about that in terms of talking about power. You know, people, we know a lot about power. People talk about power a lot, but nobody really talks about how power is wielded. And what I will tell you is that power is wielded as part of a collective. Power is not about individual agency. So Oprah, you don't empower anyone through tokenism. You don't empower yourself through tokenism. Tokenism is not a doorway to power. If you don't remember anything else I say, tokenism is not a doorway to power. It is a doorway for you to be manipulated by people who have power to do something or sell something or effect something that they want to see anyway. It is not a doorway to power because it is not collective. You have to uplift the collective in order to have power. Well, what are you talking about, Yvette? I don't see why Oprah has to uplift the collective. She got money. She got money, Yvette. Like, what are you talking about? Oprah got cash. Cash and power are not the same thing. Just like we talk about plugs and outlets when we talk about college. We always talk about plugs and outlets. When you get out of college, there's no job to plug it into. There's no wealth. There's no social capital. Oprah has experienced the same thing. And if you think I'm lying, I want you to walk with me, because we're going to talk about something that happened. She talks about how she was on 60 Minutes. Now, first of all, I don't understand why Oprah was on 60 Minutes when you already had your own show that you canceled to go do OWN, and now you're back at a show that's not your own show on another network taking orders from someone else. So how does that happen to a billionaire? So I want to Oprah again in Oprah's own words. How should I say this? She's talking about 60 Minutes. How should I say this? Never a good thing when I have to practice saying my name and have to be told that I have too much emotion in my name. Well, I agree with that. That's never a good thing for you to be a billionaire. I don't even understand. Before I go on, let me say something. If I'm a real billionaire, that means I move. That you have to understand, being a millionaire means you move markets. That means you can blackball people. That means you can tell people you never gonna work in this city again. There's only 500 and some odd billionaires in America. That's what it means to be in that league. Nobody gets to tell me anything. I will I will my name just because I want to. Make me stop. So please tell me how you're a billionaire, but somebody is telling you how to say your own name. You don't even get to pronounce your name, but you're going to tell me you're a billionaire. So, but let's just read the quote. Let's go on. And the question, the interviewer asks, no, I take it that didn't sit very well with you. No, it's not that it didn't sit very well. I did it. I think I did seven takes on just my name because it was too emotional. I go, is it too emotion? Is it too much emotion in the Oprah part or the Winfrey part? I had a deja vu moment because I've actually lived through this once before when I covered a story as a young reporter. The family had lost their home, and my boss told me that I had reported it with too much emotion. I had too much emotion in the story. Yeah, Oprah, but having too much emotion in the story is not the same as being told how to say your name. And you did it then before you were a quote unquote billionaire. Okay, but let's keep going. Okay, so you're not supposed to be involved in the story. I get that. You're a journalist. No, they told you how to say your own name. But the same thing is true even with a read 60 Minutes. They would say, all right, you need to flatten out your voice. There's too much emotion in your voice. So I was working on pulling myself down and flattening out my personality, which for me is not actually a good thing. Well, and you don't even know, like, we don't even know what we're looking at. She says that she left because they made her, they told her they had to teach her how to say her own voice. She's saying that's why she left. That's degrading enough. And that's something that doesn't happen to billionaires. But we don't even know. They could have told you to leave, and that's your cover story. Just like Magic left. He said they got some emails, and they was talking bad about him. Well, we don't know. We don't know. You could have got asked to leave too. And if you're watching people who are saying to you, go start your own, don't do your own. Hey, Oprah can't do her own. Oprah left to go do her own, and she back at 60 Minutes. Oprah left to go do her own, and she's not just back at 60 Minutes, she's back at Apple too. Oprah left to go do her own, and I've seen her on TV trying to sell me cauliflower pizza. Show is delicious and healthy too. And she was dancing and everything. And before you say, well, she owns that, we love to kind of attribute ownership to people who don't own it. No, this is the owner. And understand what it says. I want you to pay close attention. Kraft Heinz, now that's real money right there. It says Kraft Heinz and Oprah collaborate to launch. Oh, that's good frozen pizza. Collaborate. Not own. Not nothing. You collaborating with the real money. They finna get you to sell this pizza. And see, I want to talk about, before I go on, I'm gonna go on. But one of the things I want to share with you, when I talk about this quote right here, where Oprah was talking about, where she talked about being a token. When I said that, one of the things we have to understand that wealth, in terms of how that goes, that's a community property. Wealth is a community property, and it's a team sport. Community property, team sport. Somebody tweeted that today. God, I can't remember, but it's in my timeline. I've always said it's community property, but it's also a team sport. And so what happens, even on this level, you ain't got nobody to play with. And so you look at it, and so Oprah, when we talk about plugs and outlets, there's nobody. Understand that Justin Timberlake don't even really do a whole lot no more. Like he's part owner of a sports team, he does other stuff. But because it's easy for him to plug into social capital that already exists. So there's social capital everywhere. But there's not social capital for your group because there was no collective uplift. So you leave the Oprah Winfrey Show thinking that not only are you going to do something with the network, but there's going to be somewhere for you to plug it into. You're going to be able to connect. You got to think about it. Oprah has had multimillionaires, probably billionaires by now, sit on her couch for decades during the Oprah Winfrey Show. You got to think, on some level, she thought that when I leave the Oprah Winfrey Show, I will be able to have connections with the people that sit on my couch. And you have to think that she did not fully understand that these people were using her couch to sell product. Your job was to sell product for white capital. Your job was not, and not just to sell product, your job was to sell ideology too. If Oprah can do it, everybody can. And Oprah says you shouldn't sit on your sofa and eat buns. Like, that's not the right thing to do. And Oprah's a real go-getter. I really think that other African Americans should be just go-getters too. They should be more like Oprah and Jordan and Tiger Woods. That's what you were there for. You know, Antonio and I did another video, and you can look it up, where we talked about, you know, how she possibly was forced out of the contract when you talk about Discovery and paid $75 million. You have to think they gave her $70 million for quarter ownership of a supposedly billion-dollar company. I don't know how people who do numbers look at that and think that's a good deal. And I don't think how we think that Oprah's so big that couldn't happen to her, because there's no protection when you don't have social capital. When your group doesn't rise, when you and your group don't rise together and you don't have social capital, this is what happens to you. You're out there by yourself and there's nothing to plug into. And these people who were sitting on your couch, Oprah got all this stuff she said about gender and all this stuff. You got pictures with Harvey Weinstein. You have people who came produced who sat on that couch, but they were sitting on your couch to sell movies. They were not sitting on your couch to do business with you. They were not sitting on your couch to connect with you. They were not sitting on your couch for any of that. They were sitting on your couch to sell their merchandise. You have to think about this. Look at this. I want you to look at this. They talk about her doing business with Apple. And it says, you factored prominently into Apple's first programming presentation in late March. What will you do for them that you can't do at home? That's a great question. Apple exposes you to a whole lot of people. The thing that I'm really, really excited about, as I said that day, is creating the world's largest book club. And if I want to do a film or a doc series, the best place for my doc series on mental health is not on, because you don't have the bandwidth, and you have to create a completely different audience, and then you have to have marketing. It sounds like she's saying that OWN isn't a business. It's like, this is a woman who came into our living rooms for decades. And listen, understand something else. She came into our living rooms during a certain period. You know, we always talk about timing on this show. She came into our living rooms pre-Netflix. She came into our living rooms, and white America's living rooms, more importantly. She came in not only pre-Netflix, pre-Spotify, pre-normalization of YouTube, before YouTube was doing all this content. She came pre all of that. She had a captured audience for decades. How long does a black woman, this woman comes into our living room, us, white America, especially white women, come into the living room for decades, and she's telling you, I can't do it. I don't have the audience for it. I need Apple to do it. I don't have the bandwidth. I can't build the audience. That's what she's telling you. This is your black female billionaire telling you, I can't do it without Apple. I can't do it without white capital. I can't do it. Understand, Oprah was around even before Apple became totally normalized in terms of phones and all this stuff. They had the Apple computer and all that. But in terms of, no, you were first. If Oprah can't do it, and I understand why she can't do it. I don't think she understands why she can't do it, but I do. What does that say for the rest of us? Understand something. Oprah was one of the largest running daytime television talk shows in history. The show received 47 daytime Emmy Awards before Winfrey chose to stop submitting it for consideration in 2000. TV Guide ranked it number 49 on TV Guide 50 greatest TV shows of all time. In 2013, they ranked it as the 19th greatest TV show of all time. Oprah Winfrey, it remains the highest rated talk show host in American history. Highest rated talk show host in American history, and you're saying I can't do it myself. I tried. These people done bought me out. They sent me a check for $75 million, and I don't know. But I'm trying. But I need Apple. I can't do these docuseries and all this stuff, and I'm gonna be interviewing people again. Well, but when you just interviewing people when you had your own show, now you got to go over there to interview. What was the point of even canceling your show? Now you finna go interview these people and you finna do the Oprah Winfrey show all over again? Then you finna do another book club? You did a book club. How long you gonna do this? And you just gonna do it through Apple now? I don't think we understand that what we're looking at is a failure to launch. Oprah left. I'm gonna do my own stuff. I'm finna do my own network. I'm finna. It was fish grease hot up in here. I'm finna do it. Oprah was fish grease hot. I remember watching the last episode. Fish grease hot. She finna do it, and she hit pavement. Cause there's nothing to plug into without a community. I don't care what she says. I don't care what she tells you. You need a community. You have to have social capital. So you can say, you know what? Malik got a farm over there. Malik got a farm over there, and they grow potatoes. And then I got so and so over here. They got a bunch of chickens and they got eggs. So I'm a partner with them, and I'm gonna take 50% or 20% ownership, and I'm also gonna do the egg commercials for them and the orange juice commercial for them, and we're gonna do breakfast restaurants too. That's what you can do when your group has resources. You can come out of that thing and plug right in and just keep it moving. You ain't never got to work again. Oprah's 65 years old running around. Billionaires don't do that. Billionaires don't move like that. Billionaires don't live like that. And if Oprah's having these problems, I just don't. What do you think it is for the rest of us? If this is what Oprah is experiencing in her life, what do you think it is for the rest of us? And you also need people, if you're going to do it and be Oprah, you need to be able to actually have some kind of enforcement. Like, you need the courts to work for you. So you need politics to work for you. It has to work. And I think Oprah outmaneuvered herself in a way, because Oprah lost a lot of her white viewership because she backed Barack Obama over Hillary Clinton. You got a lot of white women, probably majority, who watch your show, and you backed Barack Obama thinking he was a black man, but he wasn't. You thought Barack Obama was a black man with a white mama, and it turned out Barack Obama was a white man with a black daddy. Joke's on you, Oprah. Joke was on all of us. But either you learn from that or you don't. Either you learn from that or you don't. Either you barbecue or mildew. And Oprah, you having a hard time. At 65, you can't keep running around. It's just not going to work. You can't run like that. And it says, let me get back to the quotes. What else do you want to tackle as part of the Apple collaboration? I don't want I don't want it to be a daily rhythm of trying to come up with people to interview. But she goes on to say she wanted to interview Christine Blasey Ford. That's Kavanaugh. So she's trying to use this to go to gender role. Right? She's trying to use, and it's no surprise because you got to remember Oprah created Ellen. Right? Who literally replaced her on daytime TV. Remember, Oprah was the woman, when Ellen came out, Oprah played like the therapist. And then Ellen came back and basically replaced her. You know, this is just how it moves. And Oprah goes on to say, like, you know, she didn't do it. I remember talking to you when you were launching OWN and you had big plans for spiritual programming. Oh yes, I was delusional. Somebody please take me out of my delusional spiritual closet. And she went on to say, like, well, people weren't ready. You know, people weren't ready to hear the spiritual stuff that I was trying to talk about. I don't even think, you know, as I look at it, I don't even think Oprah understands what we are. Like, I don't think she understands what we are and who we are. In the sense of, how can I put it? I'm trying to figure out a way to put it. And I've talked about this before, but I'm trying to figure out a way to kind of bring it home. You have to understand, on some level, you have to understand that what we are, and what Oprah is too, is a funnel. It's like you're a funnel to get people to buy stuff. So whether it's Oprah's favorite things, Whether it's the stuff where she made it like environmentally healthy stuff, whether it's books, your capital in terms of being able to access these communities, the capital that you had was through being able to sell these things to the white women who watched you every day. Once you don't have that funnel anymore to those women, you're not worth anything. Not for the most part. You're not worth a lot. And that funnel doesn't work the other way around. Like when you are the salesperson for white capital, you can't go back then to white capital and be like, well, I really helped you. So I think that we should do business. We should partner and do stuff. No, it's a one-way street. You were the salesperson. Now the sales is over. We just done all moved on. We don't need to do this no more. We're finished. Like it had a good run. And you sold ideology. You made people believe that, like, every black women, if they really tried hard, and black people, if they really try hard, you didn't really talk about government and how government paved the way for your life, and how the FCC was putting pressure on people during that time to hire blacks and hire women at the same time. And you were a twofer, but you never really talked about that. You talked about what you believe and the dream boards and all that stuff. And so you did your job, but they're not doing nothing else with you, Oprah. It's a wrap. It's a wrap, tap, tap, wrap, tap, tap. Yep. It's a wrap. I don't know what else to tell nobody. You were a tool. I don't understand. People don't understand that they were a tool. You're the help. I don't know. And what you also see, let me just say this. You also have to see, you don't have to just look at Oprah. You have to look, you can look at how Gayle is moving. Understand that, like, I don't have to renegotiate anything. I don't have to work anywhere. If my best friend is a billionaire, no, I don't have to do none of that. I'm just going to help her do her billionaire stuff. Like Oprah says, I called her, and Oprah says in the interview, and you got to just go read the interview. Oprah says in the interview where I called her, and I told her she should get what she wants in terms of her renegotiation. Understand that if I'm a reporter and I have a best friend who's a billionaire who's building a network, I'm not working for CBS. But not only did she have to go work for CBS, Oprah had to go and doggone start selling pizza and all kinds of stuff, selling pizza and working in 60 Minutes. These are not billionaire moves, especially at 65. So you have to, what I have to understand is why are you in this picture? Why are you here? Why are you here? Because you're lying to me and you're lying to everybody. Everybody. You do not belong. These other people in this picture, they move industries. People squirm and run when they run into rooms because they move everything. When you talk about Microsoft and you talk about Bill Gates, he has moved and transformed an industry with real products too, with real boxes and real computers and real software. Bill Gates, the same thing. I mean, Warren Buffett, the same thing in terms of the financial sector. Oprah, you're not moving anything. You don't move industries. Nobody's waiting to hear what you have to say. Why are you photographed? See, the job of the problem is the job of black celebrity and the job of quote unquote black capital is to lie about what they are and who they have so that we don't get reparations. Nobody wants to give us reparations because Oprah's on the cover of Forbes. Why would you want to give me reparations if Oprah's on the cover of Forbes? They must be doing all right. Or at least if they're not doing all right, they have the opportunity to do all right because Oprah was poor. And if she can do it, these other Negroes can do it too. They must be lazy. Oprah, tell me what you really got in your account. Tell me all the rejections that you got. I wanna hear tell all book. Tell me all the people who are like, no, we're not doing nothing with you. Tell me about how you really parted ways with Discovery. It's an indictment on these blacks who are like entertainment like Obama. It's an indictment of like ego and ego in our community. That's what it is. They were both present for this. And understand something. Oprah's wealth is not based on moving industry. It's based on personality. So the reason you're still working is that you still haven't created something. Like you tried Harpo, you tried OWN, but you have been unable to create the media real estate necessary for you to sit back and chill out. It's really what you should be doing at 65. You haven't been able to create that. And you don't even understand how you create that. What do you mean, Yvette? Well, listen, if somebody dropped $200 million, not even $1 billion on me today, the first thing you have to do, and I'm not trying to be mean when I say this, you gotta have kids. I will go adopt them. We got a lot of little black babies that need homes. You gotta have somebody in your life, people that you rear up from childhood, to be able to inherit that and know that they're going to inherit that and know what their role is in that. You have to create stewards of wealth. I'm not talking about Gail's babies. I'm not talking about the girls you adopted in South Africa. I'm talking about you have to be able to create stewards of wealth. Who you tell them, and you got to show them. You can't tell them kids, you can do anything you want to do. Listen, I got a kid. If I get a kid, bring it. I'm going to tell them, listen, we got 200 million. This is what I do now. I've been doing advocacy, politics, media. Now, you can do something within that wheelhouse. Find your passion somewhere within that wheelhouse. But this is your wheelhouse. You don't get to go out here and say, I'm going to go mountain climb and do whatever I want to do. No. We're building careers. It takes 3 generations to build a career. I'm generation 1. You're generation 2. You better figure it out. And I wish you would try to run off somewhere. But you have to create somebody to be a steward of what you're trying to do to carry it on. That's your responsibility as wealth. That's how wealth moves. I don't care who it is. Wealth moves that way because it's inherited. It's inherited. And you got to teach these people how to inherit it, how to move. If you're going to even do entertainment, you got to teach them and you got to be able to do it. But you've struggled to do it and you haven't even created kids who can at least try to have a personality or do something and move that on and move your legacy on. Because once you're wealthy, you have a legacy. You can now have the opportunity for a legacy. What kind of legacy do you have with no kids? That's your responsibility when you're there. You can't do that. You can't do legacy without kids. I understand why you cannot do it when you were young or whatever, or when you don't have money, like most of us don't. But you're Oprah, so I don't even think when we talk about legacy building that you even understand what that encompasses. You know, when it's funny when Byron Allen talked to Antonio, he said that real wealth is a family with like $3 billion and like one heart or something like that. Like, how are you in this picture? I don't even think you have. I think you're there to make us believe. I think it's all a lie. And I think we're all buying into a lie. No resource, no distribution, and even your stocks. Like, it's not, no, you have to be able, you would have had to make OWN really work and OWN really become a network that competes on the level of networks. That would have had to happen. And I don't see that happening. And so you can't transition. It's like a failure to launch. You haven't been able to transition out of that space. And that's why Gail went back to work. And that's why she was interviewing R. Kelly. And that's why you did the Michael Jackson stuff, the Michael Jackson doc, because y'all scrambling. I mean, what's the difference between Gail being with you and Gail just being on her own as a reporter? Gail was a reporter before that. If she got to work, who maintains the same life after having a billionaire a friend that they had before? You can just do the math for yourself. You ain't got to listen to me. You can think about it on your own. This is what happens when your group is on the bottom and you can't plug in and there's nobody to protect you. So if there's a whole bunch of people, if there's a whole bunch of black millionaires, if we're represented in ultra elite, mid-level, all that stuff, if we're represented in everything, then there's people around us to kind of protect us too and say, you can't do this. But see, when you're just by yourself and you're out there on your own and you have no family, you have no tribe with you, you have no protection. Oh, and when you have no protection, life gets real interesting. Life gets real interesting and it gets real dangerous. And so you see this, like it's not just, I mentioned the Michael Jackson doc. So let me just bring it up now. You know, in terms of what she said. And she said, listen, well, you made a lot of noise by getting involved. You know, you made a lot of noise by getting involved with leaving Neverland via your special After Neverland. How did that come about? I didn't even have to be in it. I didn't have to take on all that. I said to myself the other day, why did I do that? Child, you ain't even you I know why you did it, because you're just scrambling. You don't even know what you want to do. You just running around and running and running and running and running. Well, why did you do it, Oprah? I saw it and I was shaken by it. I wasn't even shaken by the fact that it was Michael Jackson. I was shaken by the fact that filmmaker Dan Reed had done a really good job of showing a pattern. And for years, I have been trying to show people the pattern. I've been trying to say it's not about the moment. It's about the seduction. The first thing I said to Gail when we watched it was, Gail, you got to get these guys on CBS this morning. She Instagrammed about it, and I go, no, you shouldn't Instagram. You should get those guys. And then she says, well, they asked her, did you hear from any of the Jackson family? Because of me, it wasn't about Michael Jackson. It was bigger. It was about a bigger issue. No, it wasn't, Oprah. It wasn't about no bigger issue. And that's why you went on scrambling. It was about Michael Jackson. And the problem that you had is that the story began to unravel partly. And the other problem that you had was that Michael Jackson was investigated for a long time while he was alive, and they didn't find anything by the FBI. Right? So they didn't find. So that's the other problem that you had. And the problem that you have is that everything that you're trying isn't transitioning. So you're trying to grab hold to anything to try to make it happen because it is happening like you thought it would happen. Life isn't unfolding like you thought it would unfold. Life isn't what you thought it would be. It isn't what you thought it would be. And so you have the picture, which is trying to make like black women, Oprah, even though it isn't what you thought it would be, but you have these women who are trying to like signal to, especially the black women, signal to us that like we can do it. We got to be unburdened by all these Negroes, these black men, and just be in a room full of white men and just show our power. Child, what power? There is no power that is outside of group power. No, you are not those men. You dressed you up in a purple dress and the color purple. No. No, 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 no. I don't know why you're in that picture. It don't make no sense. It doesn't make any sense. And so there was also a very interesting part I want to get to really quickly, where you kind of talked about, when she talked about the blowback, she says, oh, I assume you hadn't anticipated blowback. Oh, the hateration. Honey, I haven't had that much hateration since the puppy episode. And she went into how she helped Ellen come out. And I see Oprah's shortfall a lot in our community in general. No, people are critical of you. And you can decide which criticism is constructive and which criticism is destructive, but all criticism is not hateration. There is some good criticism of you being the black face that was destroying a dead black icon pop star. That is a valid criticism. And intellectually, you should own that and respond to it, and you don't get to call all of it hateration. I mean, it's not, first of all, it's not 2004 or 5 or whatever. I don't know what word but you're 65, I'll give it to you. But you don't get to do that. You don't get to just be like, oh, they was all just hating on me. Now, here's the other part. I don't know how many people remember. I don't know. And if you don't remember, go back and look at it. How many of you remember my interview with Monique? And how many of you remember what she said about Oprah and the backbiting, and how Oprah brought the brother who, allegedly molested her onto the show and didn't tell her, and how about Precious, and how she didn't get any back end, didn't get any pay about that, and everything that happened. I don't know if you all remember that, but I want you to put that together in understanding who this person is and who I think would have no problem telling that lie. Now understand, since that Monique interview, we've seen her on Steve Harvey. There's a lot of stuff that she said in terms of some people being there to kind of step in and fetch it, and not being there for the people, but saying they're there for the people. And we've seen a lot of that come to pass. We've seen it with Charlamagne. We've seen it with Steve Harvey. I just want you to take your time and understand that a lot of these people are there to lie to us. Monique is right. A lot of people are there to lie to us, are there to make us believe things that aren't true, or don't really have any morality in terms of how they play this game. Remember the story? I don't know if it's true, but you remember the other story about Oprah, that Toni Braxton was coming on the show and she called Toni Braxton's record label and called L.A. Reid, and she said she knew they was gonna say bad things about the record label, but she had it all covered. She was gonna take care of Toni, and she made. Toni, I could have told you that you don't know how to take care of your money. I'm not saying she didn't, but I'm just saying we never really had no money. So sometimes it's really hard to figure that out. We really have to work on that once we get some money. The first part is give money. The second part is like to tell you how to not let these people steal it all from you. And then you don't have any real protection from it. But you went on there and Toni thinking this is black woman to black woman, and you damn near made that woman cry. And I don't think you did it just because you were being critical. I kind of believe you really did make that phone call because you were trying to ingratiate yourself to power, as if you're not trying to do no spirit stuff. That stuff's garbage. I think you're trying to ingratiate yourself to power, and I think that's what you've always done. And now it's kind of ran out. Now you're kind of in trouble. Now you're kind of out there by yourself, and so you just running around. You just running around trying to read Buttigieg's books. Right now, I'm studying The Field. I'm reading The Shortest Way Home by Peter Buttigieg. I call him Butter Peep and Butter Poop. Butter Boop. Oh, so silly. The name's either going to really hurt or really help. You know, I was at Apple and I asked Spielberg, have you heard of him? Child, if you don't stop. I like saying butter. So I'm reading about him. I have Kamala's book. I just got the Vanity Fair piece on Beto O'Rourke. I done some research. Background stuff on him before. I already knew about Cory. I already know Cory Booker. So I'm figuring out like how to use my voice. Oprah, I kind of prefer if you just be quiet. Don't use your voice no more. That's all right. And then let me tell you, white people so slick. They just slick little stuff in. There's a line in the Vanity Fair Beto piece that says Oprah, who helped anoint Barack Obama in 2008, practically begged him to run an event in New York City at the beginning of February. Is that true? Oh, I do not think I practically begged him. When I read that, I thought that's not accurate. What I was practically begging for is, will you tell me if you're going to run in this moment right now? Even backstage, I was saying, when you are going to do it, will you let me know? Which he did not. Yeah, he didn't even let you know. Little Mayor Pete didn't even let you know. Yeah, but I heard y'all had dinner. So I'm sitting back waiting to see. And so you see, and as I wrap this up, I just want to make this point. You see her talking about Mayor Pete, what I just said about Toni Braxton, and how she's just enamored with Mayor Pete, because that's kind of reflexive of who you are. I mean, that's kind of reflexive of who you are in terms of just this feel-good politics. But like real politics is often not feel-good. Transformational politics is often divisive. But even when I talk about Oprah and talking about what she did with Mayor Pete, or when I talk about Toni Braxton, Oprah, let me ask you something. You said Toni Braxton didn't manage her money, but you losing like a fourth ownership in $1 billion company for $70 million. How is that different than Toni Braxton? Like what you lost and what you continue to lose. Who are you to say that you're better at managing your money than she is? How can you say that? And how can we say anything? Listen, let me just come back for 1 second before I go here. Let me just say something. I don't need to hear what Oprah has to say about any candidate. Everybody who brought me Barack Obama and told me that was the right way to go, I don't need to hear from none of y'all. And that includes the Rev. I don't need you to eat chicken at Sylvia's with nobody else. No, wait a minute, I forgot. Al Sharpton only eats a salad and a banana every day, I read. So he had 2 pieces of toast. Dang, Al. Like, I don't need to hear about that. I don't need you to listen. You're not there sitting in that space for me or for the ADOS community. You are sitting in that space right there because you work for MSNBC. and you have a vehicle, and you have relationships with the Congressional Black Caucus and things like that, that's why you're sitting there. But mostly because of MSNBC. And I think it's actually a conflict of interest. Either I need you to be National Action Network, or I need you to be, it's a lot of conflict of interest. I'm not saying you're the only one. It's a lot of people on there that talk about the military and work for the military industrial complex and come on MSNBC and talk. I don't want none of that. Let's cut all of that off. Let's cut all of that off. If you're going to do MSNBC, I don't need you to do National Action Network. And if you're going to do National Action Network, I don't need to do MSNBC. I need a real leader. I don't need a leader who's paid by MSNBC. That's the thing about Antonio and I. That's why people hate us. Because you don't know what bag we're going to come out of, because you don't pay us. I get paid by who? YouTube and small donations from ADOS people. You can't, like, what are you going to do with that? I don't have to worry about it. Well, will I get in trouble with MSNBC? Well, he's going to want to sit with me because, no, you sat with Barack Obama. What did we get? No, I'm not okay with that anymore. I'm not okay with you. You didn't exact the black agenda. You said you wasn't going to criticize Obama until until the second term. Well, the second term is too late for us to exact anything in terms of our negotiation. I said prior to Obama's reelection, we as ADOS need to do a renegotiation. We have to renegotiate this deal because it's not a good deal. And the person who was in the way of that was Al Sharpton. So I'm not saying that. Well, I am saying that he doesn't get to be in the room. I think, like, Barack Obama was such our shot. Even if he wasn't our president, and we know he wasn't ADOS, because we voted for him, and voting and politics is an exchange, that was an opportunity for us. And we missed it. And part of how we missed it was the leadership that we had. And that leadership included Ben Jealous, it included Mark Marietta, and included Al Sharpton. And I don't know how you maintain that. Al Sharpton came to us every day at 6 o'clock and told us everything was going to be all right. And it wasn't all right. And it still ain't all right. So one of the things that I want to say as I close this out, I want to say that I understand that Oprah has done charity. Oprah's done charity at Morehouse for Morehouse college students. Oprah's done charity in South Africa. I don't know how much that benefits the people here, but I understand that Oprah has done a lot of charity. What I'm saying to you and everyone else is that societies are not built on charities for a reason. During the Great Depression, there were a lot of charities around, but the soup kitchens that the charities were running, they ran out. Because this job is only big enough for government. In our case, we have a very specific justice claim that goes back to slavery and the accrued disadvantage that comes all the way forth. Oprah cannot do that. Oprah cannot fix that. And Oprah cannot even fix all of the stuff that ails her for her own self. She can't even get her own business right. So what I'm telling you is that we have to, first of all, look to the collective. We cannot look to charity. We have to look to us as a collective, and we have to get uplifted together. This whole stuff about individual agency, I'm going to get mine, you got to figure out how to get yours, that stuff don't work. Because ain't nobody else playing that way. Everybody else is playing as a group. Everybody else is playing as a collective. We have to quickly get in order and understand that we are a very specific tribe, and we have to operate how everybody else operates, as a specific collective with a specific agenda. I think Oprah's history is instructive. If she couldn't do it, if Oprah Winfrey couldn't do it, your black female billionaire, what do you think the chances are for us ordinary folk? No, it has to be collective. It has to be collective wealth that we can do business with each other, real business, real industry, and real protection from the government, and real redistribution of wealth from the government, so we have the capital that we were robbed of back then. Nothing makes the case more than this, than Oprah Winfrey's life and what she tried to do and what she failed to do and what she's still lying about that she can't do. So I'm going to go to the phones, fam, and we're going to come back as usual and have a conversation. What's going on, fam? We are back, and I'm talking about how Oprah is not building an empire, she working. She not building, she working. But I want to hear what everybody got to say. So I want to bring the calls in so we can get a few calls in. I want to go to 267 first. 267, what's your name? Where you calling from, and what's on your mind? Turn on your background for me. Hello?
I think she did. Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay. My name is Gail, and I've called a couple of times before, and I just, sorry at the beginning of the call, I was discussing with my son some stuff about black celebrities. And I was saying, he was saying, what was the show about tonight, Mom? He's only 14, but he watches your show with me. And I said the show was about black celebrities and how they use them as a mask to say why the rest of black, ADOS America doesn't deserve reparations. And he's like, oh, okay. And I was saying, it's not that I don't like celebrities or I don't want us to see them with them, but I surely don't want them to be used as a mask for the rest of us that are just trying to live everyday normal lives that we don't get our reparations. No. And we don't have responsible celebrities anymore. Like, I've heard you and Tone say many times, you talked about people like Muhammad Ali and people like that just thought about the rest of us. No, these people are selfish.
Well, and not only that, part of the problem too, fam, is that, turn your background down a little bit for me. Part of the problem what happens too is that, you have to actually, you have to support, hold on a second, I need you. You have to support black celebrity. I mean, you're not black celebrity, but black celebrities who want to be politically involved need to support people who are already doing it, right? So I don't care whether that's an activist somewhere in Ferguson or whether that's an activist in Chicago or whether that's me or whether that's Antonio. You have to support people who are doing the work versus like trying to do what you're doing. Because what happens is a lot of times you don't even really know enough. You just kind of jump out onto the field and somebody brings you stuff. You say, oh, that sounds good. And that's just not what it is. So I'm going to let you finish up, caller. You have any last words, caller? I guess not. I appreciate you calling in. No, thank you for calling. I appreciate it so much. I'm going to 310 now. 310, what's going on?
What up, man? Shout out to that last caller having a 14-year-old tune in.
It's cool.
I just want to say I appreciate that. I know Yvette appreciates it as well. I just want to come in and dip in because I just want to tell y'all, this show kind of connects to what I'm going to do Friday. Friday, I'm going to be talking more about Jay-Z and gentrification. And, I've been waiting to let the emotion die down, but I'm going to touch on Nipsey as well. Condolences to his family. But I'm going to touch on the use of empowerment zones and how that little community building was actually purchased, and how we need to be honest about when do for selfism is actually holding back black agenda and reparation. I think in many ways Jay-Z suffers from many of the same diseases as Oprah in terms of Jay-Z doesn't understand what he's talking about most of the time in terms of wealth and blackness, and I think Oprah suffers from the same thing. Because for a lot of people who, and I'm not saying this to toot my own horn, but I've been around enough black celebrities where people tell me, like, you should sit down with them. You should sit down with black celebrities. Yeah. Like, I done sat down with Dre and had dinner and really just read him I gave him my copy of the new Jim Crow, Dr. Dre. And I'm saying to you, like, I know when a celebrity can't be spoken to me. Just my own view on it. And Jay-Z comes off like that to me, as does Oprah. I done had 100 hours of conversation with the most powerful black man in Hollywood, period. That's Byron Allen. He bought the Weather Channel, $300 million. So, it's very interesting, like I said, about this whole economic space. Because normally the YouTube space, or you can just play that game of you don't know, you have to talk. I talked to him. Like, what are you talking about? I met Nipsey at Jamie Foxx house. I met Nipsey. One of my artists worked with Nipsey before, and it's just a lot there. Because I grew up 2 blocks from where Nipsey was shot down. And I ain't really talked about it, but I'm going to talk about it on Friday. But one of the things I want to do is bring on Kevin Cosby, Pastor Kevin Cosby, HBCU President Kevin Cosby, who did buy up the block. who put millions of dollars into Black Louisville, but the businesses didn't come. And I say this in context of the Oprah show because I think in many ways one of the things that we're seeing right now is that Black people don't know they're Black. And Oprah plays a role in keeping you from understanding that. Can you pull up that Forbes picture? Because I just want to break it down one more time. Because one thing that you see with this with the Forbes picture is how they have positioned it so you can't see. These people we did. I think Yvette did a show a long time ago about how post 1950s they became really good at the science of how to manipulate your mind into buying products. They go all the way back to the easy, quick pancake mix. Women didn't want to use that because it was just water and pancake mix, and that you couldn't convince them that they had done enough for their husband. Yeah, so they added an egg that they didn't have to add, and then all of a sudden women felt good about it. Well, the same thing goes for these magazines. They know that this right here will keep you from resurrecting the Black agenda. Look how they have her position hovering over these men. She's not just sitting with them. She is the centerpiece of this magazine. But understand that these are the two richest men in the world. And somebody would say, well, can't she get there? No. Absolutely not. Like, not with what she's selling. And I'll tell you that the person that tells you she can't get there, and that's what I mean about not guessing, is Byron Allen. Byron Allen told me basically that Charter, Comcast, AT&T literally had no desire, and Black people owning the channels. Forget the cable lines, the channels. So you look at her deal with Discovery, and we come back to it. If they give you $70 million as your buyout, it's a buyout. It's like you didn't perform, here goes $70 million, get on. Ain't nobody taking that for a channel worth $1.2 billion. She had a prime position channel. Understand this. I guess I'm just saying all this just to say, one of the things I think that Oprah represents and that a lot of Black people don't understand is Oprah represents that Blackness is over. When we all live in the middle of it. Oprah represents that Blackness is over, like slavery and Jim Crow is over. This magazine cover is the new Blackness. But we all live the reality that they didn't make any of it right. They didn't repair anything. This was in magazines all across at grocery stores all across the nation that white people saw. Forget just Black people. And this is what right-wingers that make decisions about economics saw on their coffee tables. When you go into their investment firms and everything, they saw Oprah standing there with Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. And I think for a lot of us, what we got to get honest about is Black celebrity has a significant role in keeping us not only calm about failing, but also allowing us to have white people eat all of the pie. And I'll leave it like that. Tune in Friday.
Yeah, go listen to Tone on Friday. Appreciate it, Tone. Yeah, the thing about it is, and the show that Antonio referred to is I did a show a while back about the century of the self. There's a documentary you can find on YouTube, but it basically talks about how America went from how we became a consumer society. So we went from being a utilitarian society, and when you say, what does that mean? Even a society like a functional, we used to wear out our clothes before we bought new clothes. That's what I mean. Like we used to wear out our shoes. Now they sell shoes that look worn. Like we used to wear out our shoes before we bought new shoes. That's what it means, right? So we went from that to this society, this consumer society. And part of the way, and it talked about how they market it to people. And so part of the reason women wouldn't buy it was cake batter mix. And part of the reason the women wouldn't buy it is because they felt like they were cheating their families. Like, I'm not really cooking for them. I'd rather make the case, I'd rather cook for my family. And so they made it to where you had to put an egg in it. And the women felt like by putting an egg in it that they were cooking. That was enough for them to feel like they were cooking. And it could sell the product, even though the product didn't really need that egg. And it just really goes into the mind game that has been played on us to make us into these consumers who are all about just buying stuff all the time and hurting ourselves in the process. And how that was just a way to take money from us and give it to the people who were selling us stuff. And that's largely I'm not saying you can't be fashionable, but even with fashion, that's part of the reason you don't you can't wear out your clothes if this shoe is out. That was last season. It's this season. So you can't wear that shoe out because that was the last season shoe, right? Like fashion should be really about the creativity that you have with your clothes as opposed to always buying new clothes, right? So that was an old show I did. You can go look it up, but you can watch the documentary Century of the Self if you want to. But that's what it is. I don't know. So I'm going to my next call. I am going now to I'm going now to 504 504. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Yvette, this is BJ in New Orleans.
What's going on?
Not much, Yvette. Good to hear from you. I'm a long time listener.
Oh, appreciate it.
But I appreciate your conversation. You have really elevated my political education. And I've been recently looking into Fannie Lou Hamer.
Okay.
And Fannie Lou, I feel as though Oprah stands on the shoulder of this woman. And it leads into the direction of what you're talking about in regards to political education, advocacy, having no protection and no social capital, right?
Yeah.
So Fannie Lou Hamer didn't have any of this, and she died penniless. She died alone. From this book I'm reading from Shanna Kai, For Freedom's Sake, The Life of Fannie Lou Hamer.
And didn't she have?
And I just want to read this.
And didn't she have a breakdown, fam? Didn't she I'm reading about so many.
She did have a breakdown.
I'm reading about so many black people. I'm reading about so many of our ancestors who did this hard work, who had mental breakdowns. Like I was reading about Fortune.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Absolutely, and she died from diabetes, cancer, and heart disease. But my point is that Fannie Lou Hamer, she started a group, the MFLU, which is the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, or Democratic Party something. And it was just day laborers, cotton workers, domestic workers, tractor drivers. And the book cites that with her involvement with MFLU in her effort to establish a self-sufficient cooperative farming enterprise, Hammer, quote, appeared to be in transition to full-scale anti-poverty work. And my point is that Oprah, after all she's done and seen, and she should be moving in a direction to full-scale anti-poverty. There's no other direction she should be going right now. No other direction. And this is a woman who, Fannie Lou, who had nothing. Absolutely nothing. I mean, she could have used her platform when she did, when she was seen on television screens in the 1960s. That was a big deal to be on TV. When she was on TV, she could have used that to elevate herself, and she did not. So that, to me, was very poignant and very important. And I just want to make that point. But thank you, Yvette.
No, thank you, fam. I appreciate it. That was some really good information. I appreciate that. I think, and part of the reason I even brought up the breakdown was because, there are limitations. And what happens is, like, what he said is very important when he says, like, that's what Oprah should be doing. And you have to ask yourself, like, what is your mission in this life? Everybody only got a certain amount of years. You're 65. You're not even going to pass it down to somebody who's going to steward it and do something with it. So why aren't you in the space of just even elevating people in that space, right? And doing work in this ADOS community? Because how much money do you need? If you have enough money to be self-sufficient and not be hungry for the rest of your life, why aren't you doing good work? That's a question I would ask any wealthy person. If you're a multimillionaire, you have enough money for you and your kids, why aren't you doing good work? The excuse is always, well, they got to get theirs. Everybody got to eat. You have enough to eat. Why aren't you doing good work? I don't want to hear your Eckhart Tolle stuff. I don't want to hear none of. I'm not saying he's not decent. I'm not saying none of that. But I'm saying, like, why aren't you doing our work? You did the work of white people and white women and all that stuff. Why aren't you doing our work? When you're independent, I don't understand any ADOS person, especially one who's independently wealthy, who is not doing the work. And I brought up the breakdowns because I've been reading. I've read a few stuff. Been reading a lot of stuff about ADOS people, the people that came before me, and you see, like, these breakdowns, and it's totally understandable. Given, like, what we deal with, not only in terms of white supremacy, but, like, within this space. And then nothing to show for the end of the day. So the person who didn't do anything or did all the wrong thing gets to run away with all the money. But the person who fought the hardest for the community gets nothing. Didn't Oprah have to pay? One of the good things that she did, as far as I heard, that she paid for credit card scheme to have an apartment before she passed. That is, I applaud that. But you have to do the work to where this doesn't happen to the next Coretta Scott King or whatever. Like, you have to like use that. You've already used that for other stuff. Now you have to use it for just this. That's what we call on you for. You know, nobody's going to walk into this space if it always means that you have to be broke, busted, and disgusted all the time, because your people don't really care enough about politics. Your people don't really care enough about transforming their lives, or they believe something is going to transform their lives that won't. Right? They have to understand. Nobody's saying that you can't ever do black business, but there is no black business without black politics. There's no protection. And there is no business if you can't protect your commodity, your intellectual property, everything that comes with it. Or if there are monopolies over your head that will just crush you and not let you grow, you won't be able to do it. Slow drowning. So I'm going to the next call. I am going to 919. 919, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi, Miss Yvette. This is Al calling from Durham, North Carolina. How are you?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm okay. I was just chiming in and I listened to the show, and I had a reflection about a show you and Army did when you talked when he posted a video of Fred Hampton talking about the importance of political education, and how like when you don't have a political education, and then Fred Hampton mentioned about the Mama and neocolonialism, and you know, just the how vile and how, you know, brutal people can become, like even opening a credit union. If you don't know what you're doing, you take the money and you put it here and there. And that reflects back to the social engineering project here that we got going with Black Celebrity, unfortunately. It's very sad when you don't, I think we should test it now. If you don't see subject matter experts to these celebrities, you got to kind of back off. Because what's happening is a catch-22. And it's unfortunate in the society we live, we have become so lazy and thought that, you know, and it's, you know, part educational, part, you know, other issues that we got going on. We don't have time to do all that. But you got to step back and kind of look like this person doesn't have a subject matter expert. Why are they repeating this? Who is their handler? Who are these people coming from? Do your research. We're in the age of technology. It's amazing when someone asks me a question, and I'm like, just go to Google. Go to Google. It's not hard anymore. It's not. It's right in the palm of your hand. Just do that. And, you know, going back to the show here and talking about Oprah, I have a sister who is 45 chasing the Oprah dream. She campaigned here in Durham, North Carolina to get Oprah here. We want Oprah. And to this day, I can't convince this young lady that that's not real. It's like Uncle Tom was taking it there. Those people are dying. And like the last caller mentioned, I believe there's a breakdown. And I hate to say it, even in YouTube spaces, someone that you dealt with, I think they're having a breakdown too.
I think so.
You know, when you say your friends, I think I'm not going to say names, but that person's having a breakdown where you're chatting, you're talking about things that are relevant. You don't show your portfolio. Oh, you should have. That's not that. The followers and the people that come to him. I'm glad you put us on, and that broke me away from him because I met him through watching you guys, through watching him, and saw you and some years ago. And it's just amazing. It's a sad state of affairs, but I mean the work has to be done, and it's gonna take a while, guys. And just hold your head. We're gonna keep on doing the research. We're gonna keep on listening to you, and I just want to say thank you, now. Hopefully I'll be in Louisville this
good stuff.
October to see you guys, man. I hope so. However I get there, or however I sit in that space, just to be in that comfort of the HOS.
Appreciate it, fam.
Thank you. Have a good night.
No problem. Thank you for calling in. I appreciate it. Let me just put a cautionary note to that. I think ADOS fam. I think in the next coming months and years, the person who shall not be named, that the caller was talking about, and a lot of other people, we will see unravel. And I think one of the things that you cannot do, you cannot be surprised by it. Because it's not gonna be just on YouTube. It's gonna be in your life. You're gonna start seeing people in your life, whether it be family, whether it be loved ones, partners, cousins, next door neighbors, people are going to start unraveling because the glue that they've used to build together this life isn't going to work. And thanks to the Trump tax cuts, you can't piece it together with programs anymore. You're not going to be able to piece it together with a refund anymore. So there's not going to be any glue. And so when there's no glue, it just unravels. So I think as we start to psychologically get ourselves ready for the battle ahead, not just with America in terms of this justice claim, you have to get ready to see what has been like. We've kind of been led into like a libertarian America and nobody's told anybody. And you're going to start to see a lot of people kind of unravel when like the accolades or the money or whatever they use to glue themselves together, not just their life in terms of finance, but their psychological life too. Whatever they've used to glue that together, when it starts unraveling, you're going to see it. You're going to see that in real time. And I think one of the things that we have to prepare for, family, is that like it's going to be bad. Like regardless of how our black agenda and reparations and what we have to do unfolds, we're about to go through a period regardless, because we're about to go through what we're about to go through. And that's going to happen before. It's going to happen even before the election is going to start. And you have to ready yourself for it. So I'm going to the next call right now. I'm going to 843-843. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Yvette, this is Tobias calling out of hot-ass Phoenix, Arizona.
What's going on, Tobias? How you been?
Man, work and stuff like that, making sure Mr. Charlie don't crack the whip on me, you know how that is.
He gonna get you,
But, man, y'all talking about Oprah, right? The thing that a lot of black folks don't get about Oprah is Oprah Winfrey is an employee. That cover in that Forbes magazine, Bill Gates owns his company. Warren Buffett, owns his stuff. Oprah is an employee. So, but the other thing with Oprah, I'm not knocking that,
no.
but you can't be a leader of industry and mover and shaker if you work for those people.
No, you can't.
You get what I'm saying?
No.
Problem is that unlike these other white people, and you can hate on Trump and these people all they want to, Oprah doesn't have kids. She can't have kids. She's 65 years old. She's older than my mom and dad.
Yes, that's finished now.
She has nothing to pass. Who's gonna pass it down to? White people? Oh, they take over her estate? Who is the black, I'm not talking about the black mayor, the ADOS mayor. Who is the young ADOS black woman who she's putting on to say, hey, this is the next star. This woman here can do things in media or whatever. She hasn't done that, so she's no better. She reminds me of these black people in corporate America who got the job. And when you're saying, hey, can you at least get me in front of somebody for at least a damn phone interview, they just tell you to go apply. They ain't no good to you.
No.
They're happy with their cushy little spots.
Yep. And you think about it, that you got to think about it. Like it's funny even when people, it's funny even you can bring in any multimillionaire, billionaire. You can even bring Trump into it. You see Don Jr. and the other one on TV all the time looking just like Trump. Like because he trained them. Like you see Ivanka, all of them. Like you have to be able to bring people in line and create them to be everything that you do and everything that you are, because what you have a personality driven business. So you got to create that personality in something that's you, not just another person, but like your own little person. Like I agree with you, Shane, do it next 65, but you have to do that. That's how I don't think we understand how much Oprah doesn't understand what legacy means and how you build it.
You're right, and I say this, I know you got to run. Say thanks for taking my call, by the way. If Oprah spent all those years, instead of tearing down ludicrous and black male rappers back in the day and saying black women, we can't build a school for them, but want to build it in Africa, and you see how they treat us over here, maybe when she lost that $70 million, he could have built some people up, and it could have helped you be afloat instead of trying to be a one-man army. You don't see these white people in power being one-man armies. They're teams here, and she want to be a one-man army as an employee. It's not going to work.
No, it ain't going to work. It ain't working. It ain't working.
Yeah. Hey, but you have a good one, Yvette. And
no, you too. Stay cool out there in Arizona. I used to live out there. I used to live out there in Tempe. It's hot. You better get somewhere. Put a cold rag on you. It's hot all the time. When you wake up, it's hot. I ain't never seen them. When I wake up, it's 98. Yes. Okay, that's fine. That's all right.
You have a good one, Yvette.
All right, you too. Bye.
right, bye.
Yeah, she ain't that Oprah. Ooh, you ain't child. You got to build these people, and you got to build these people. I know it's kind of morbid, but you got to build these people with the knowledge that you're gonna go away. Like everybody, don't nobody escape this life alive. You have to build people with that in mind. Like I got to get kids, and I got to bring other people on. I got to build these networks. But then, since your community hasn't been uplifted as a group, you still have problems because you need collective uplift so you can maneuver in a bunch of different areas. You need all of that, and you don't have none of it. Like you need a lot of different little chess pieces to play, and you got one. How I'm gonna run the board against this with this one little piece of thing? All right, I'm going to the next call. I am going now to 757. What's going on?
Long time no talk to Yvette.
What's
Yvette,
going on? Oh, this what's up with you?
Hey, look, I don't know if you remember, it's been a while, but you covered some of Oprah when we were talking about
Yeah.
Comcast and Discovery, because, you know, Oprah is the same thing we've been getting when we talked about your boy with the studios, Magic Johnson, and Diddy with the sellout. They're telling us about all these people that own stuff. They're doing the same thing the shyster that sits in the Oval Office does. They're branding. They're nothing but pitchmen, just like the OxyClean man. I mean, look at that Fortune magazine. Someone talked about that. Here's something you'll find interesting. Oprah gave away a lot of stuff on her show, and all the people used to tell me, oh, she gave away this, gave her that. That was corporate donations. She was a pitch woman. And then the sad part about it is the majority of black people that came to her audience, I read this in print magazine before I ever went on the internet. The majority of the black people couldn't even afford to take the gifts because why? It's set up as income, so if you took some of those gifts when she was giving them out, you'd have to claim them as income and it would change your income bracket. So a lot of them were on there clapping and cheering like they thought they got something, and then when they read them, all the things they had to sign to take those gifts, they had to pass on it. So here's another one. She said there was Warren Buffett. I'm piggybacking on Tone. When you've done the research as long as I have, guess what Warren Buffett does? He used to own Clayton Homes. They changed the name of it recently. I can't recall what it was changed to. But I give you an idea. When I first went into business in Dallas, people were having so many problems with these manufactured homes. So I actually went to work for them to see how they were put together so I could figure out how to repair. You know, when you're a black man, you got to carve out your niche.
Yeah.
But the interesting about that is Warren Buffett has spent millions getting mortgage rules and local ordinances and codes changed so that those homes are sold to you not like regular homes. They're considered an asset rather than real estate because they're not built from the ground up. You truck them in.
Oh.
Most of the interior walls are only 1.25 inches thick. They put them together. People had problems with them a year or two later when the ground settles, but the warranties only last about 12 or 14 months. But most of the homes are sold to you at 5 to 8% above the market rate. Why? Because they're a special sale. They not only manufacture the home, they also have in-house financing, just like buying your car. So Oprah standing there with her hand on his back. She didn't want to do nothing for black people in Chicago because all they wanted was iPods and tennis shoes. So what she do? She went to Africa because her accountant told her she could get what? A tax write-off. Nothing but running from blackness. But the blackness they run from is ADOS blackness. There's a certain kind of blackness. You know, like you got your Godiva chocolates and then you got Hershey. There's a certain kind of blackness they run from. The authentic blackness. Now, then you remember she also went through some changes with her kinfolk over the house she supposedly bought for her dad, and then when he got into a dispute with his ex, what she do? Tried to evict their ex. Now, how do you get caught up in somebody's domestic work if you gave your father a house? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. All
of this stuff perfunctory. She's nothing but a pitch woman. And here's the other thing. When I told you about OWN, I also told you about some other stuff that went on with OWN. she never really owned that company in full. And when you look at the numbers, like that 24.5% that she sold,
Uh-huh.
but if you look at 24.5, if she owned half of the company with Discovery, she would own 50%. But she sold 24.5. But hidden in that stuff on the sale is she couldn't afford to pay her attorney, so he owned somewhere between 10 and 12% of the estate that she used to own. So she never really owned. She never had control, just like Tone is talking about. She was never a power broker. Now, I will finish with this so you can get somebody else in. You see her on that Forbes magazine. My point to you is she can't do what Warren Buffett did and have lobbyists on Capitol Hill making sure that she can screw black people, because the majority of homes owned in the black belt are owned by minorities. Why? They can't qualify through banks, so they get those homes through another lender. Predatory lending to put your family in a house. And look, if you go through and find out, because you got a couple of people that are ADOS strong in a Twitter chat.
Yeah, always.
They brought it up the other day, and I'm surprised that you got this, because I just left them a kernel to see what would happen. And they came back raising things saying, I got relatives down here that have the same problems, getting their home for 18, 19 months, the walls start cracking and splitting. But guess what? The warranties aren't like your home that you get a 30-year mortgage on. And then, most of those homes have depreciating value. You can never accrue any equity whatsoever. So much love to you. Keep on doing what you're doing.
Appreciate it, Otis.
ADOS family.
Appreciate it. I want to thank you for calling in. But you know what? Everybody, listen. Like, one of the things that Otis said, and Antonio talked about this. I can't remember which show it was. In Atlanta, all these places where they were black people, like, instead of giving you real homes and real communities that accrue, a lot of these homes are like, well, Otis, I never knew that Warren Buffett did that. I didn't know that. Otis hit me to something. But, like, what happens is they give us these little paper mache homes. That they just throw these little garbage homes up. And they're never going to accrue any kind of value just because of they're in a black neighborhood, first of all. But they're not built well. But they're made to look like something because they know what we like, right? So we just need high ceilings and, oh, girl, I like this right here. And the man is like, yeah, I like this big space. I'm going to make me a man cave. And you don't realize that cave is going to cave in. Because they're allowed to do that. They're allowed to build these like little cheaply made homes and just like give us stuff that makes us feel like, oh, we got a house, without really understanding. No, it's not built with the foundation and the structure of an actual house. And so we get homes that are just falling apart. They're gonna be trashed. The people who sell them to us know they're gonna be trashed. When they build them, they know they're gonna be trashed. You ever drive by some of these homes when they're being built and see the pressed wood? That's my dad used to call it, like pine wood. Like little garbage wood that's on this house, and it's like, looks like it's put in as part of the structure. It's not built to last. It's not built to be a home that we're going to pass down and use to create any kind of wealth. Story of our lives. I'm going to 801. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind? You there, 801?
Hello?
What's going on, 801?
Yeah. This is 801. How you doing, Yvette?
I'm doing pretty all right. How about yourself?
All fine. Haven't talked to you for a long time. You continue to do a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oprah, I haven't trusted Oprah in over 20 years. She's a sellout.
Okay.
And what Tone said about blacks not knowing they're black, so true.
Mm-hmm.
And Mayor Pete, what I do like about him is he was in the military.
Mm-hmm. Why is that important to you?
That's where I'm at.
Why is the military important to you? I'm just asking.
No, I'm just sitting back and listen to what you have to say.
Okay, thank you, Carl. I appreciate it. I was just asking, but I'm gonna keep it moving. Try to get some more calls. I'm gonna keep it moving. I'm going now to 201. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, this is Kyrie from North New Jersey.
What's going on?
I'm doing my regular thing, you know, just trying to get in where I fit in, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I was just giving you a call because you're talking about, you know, black celebrity and whatnot. I went to an event last week at Goldman Sachs, and the event was closing the racial wealth gap. And so, but it was packed out, 400 people, you know, all black professionals. It was hosted by the National Association of Black Accountants. And so we get up in there, and we're in the, you know, we're in Goldman Sachs, and they have the panel talking. And, you know, they have these three people, and they're just talking about, you know, it was basically kind of like the same thing. This lady, hey, you know, I went from making $40,000 to $400,000 a year. I planned for this, and now I'm an entrepreneur, and I work for myself, and you need to save your money and plan, and this, that, and third. And they were just speaking as if, like, you know, hey, we're not sitting in Goldman Sachs, and Goldman Sachs is sitting, you know, but they're like one of the largest banks as far as assets under management, and they're just flipping all the money they have or whatever. And they're talking about, you know, nothing more than being an employee or whatever. So, you know, I just wanted to run that by you and kind of get your thoughts on that.
Well, not even that. Like, stop talking about. Listen, in a country with in a country where wealth, you know, Antonio's talked a lot about how many white millionaires there are. In a country with this many white millionaires, stop talking about $400,000 anyway. Like, I know for us we don't make for ADOS people who are middle black family wealth for 700. I know that seems like a lot to us, but to white America, like, giggles, shits and giggles. Like, no, stop talking to us. Stop talking about your 400K. Like, in white America, that's not nothing. Like, stop having that conversation to us because we don't have anything like that's really big in like real America. No, it's not.
Yeah, it's real talk. And then, just kind of to piggyback on the other callers, I know one of the guys talking about people in corporate America, they're not really looking out for people or trying to hire other people or whatever. Well, the reason why is because none of them niggas in positions of power, to even hire anybody. You know what I'm saying? And if they are, they're like, so they're kind of like whitewashed, so to speak, or whatever. They're not really looking out. They're just, hiring whoever they need or whatever because they're just trying to keep their head above water. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so,
absolutely. And places like, people don't understand, like places like Goldman Sachs, Buffett, you partnering to exploit ADOS people. Like, that's what they've done. They invest with Buffett and he'd be exploiting, or you invest with a Goldman Sachs. Like, all of these people have invested in predatory lending, and you'll go invest with them and be like, well, I got to get my money. No, you don't get to invest with somebody who has been predatory to our community. Look at how many of these people got charged with, like, in terms of all these banks was doing subprime stuff just to exploit and rob our community of wealth, the ADOS community of wealth. You got to understand that. I'm not going to go to your thing. For what? Like, you've been robbing us. You don't get to come and talk to me about any kind of wealth, be it black or otherwise. No, you're an exploitative, whichever one of those derivatives you want to use, mechanism. That's your job. That's what you did. A lot of you banks went in and not only packaged like subprime loans as like good derivatives, but you went in and you gave us loans for with a higher interest rate, even if we had the same credit as a white person. You don't get to like have me come here and talk about my $400,000 when you're a predator. Like, sometimes I don't know how we've gotten to a space where we can't recognize a predator when we see a predator. You know a predator by behavior. You don't have to wear hoods no more. So I'm gonna let you finish your last thought, fam.
Well, yeah. So the only thing that I will say that Goldman Sachs has done recently is they had launched a new diversity initiative. And so before, instead of using the term women and minorities, what they did now is being real specific about, who they're going to recruit. So their new class analysts coming in, 50% have to be women of that. And then you have 14% have to be black. And they specifically said black. And so like 14% Latino or something like that or whatever. But they were really being real specific as far as like, what types of people they're going to, recruit into their ranks versus just, being like, oh, women and minorities, and they just hire a bunch of white women.
Well, okay. All right, fam. I appreciate it.
I'll let you.
Thank you, fam. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, you'll hire somebody black, but then like the whole point of hiring somebody is so they have connections to people with money and they can bring in new clients, and we don't. So like, it is what it is. I'm going to the next call. I'm going now to 310. I'm coming to you. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hello? Hi, Yvette?
Hey, yes.
Hey, how are you? Oh my God,
God, I'm a long-time listener and listening to you forever. I'm calling with a question, but and a perspective. So I've been born and raised ADOS because my mom is Black American. That's all I've known. But my father is Ethiopian. So when I'm kind of like Nipsey. So when I became like a teenager, I started getting the opportunity to travel to Ethiopia and go to see, over there. And then fast forward, when I was an adult, because I was so proud, to be connected to my heritage and stuff, so I started bringing them over here. But I started seeing the difference. Now, let me say, I consider myself a Pan-Africanist in terms of the global unity. I think we need global unity and all of that. But when people who are against ADOS, or maybe not against it, but they have a problem with it, or they say Yvette hates or, dislikes Black immigrants, forget the other immigrants, but Black on Black. And I'm like, no, I know firsthand, I've seen it. Two things. So number one, I'm not blaming Africans because they haven't really been exposed to what we've been through. But at the same time, when they come over here, the one thing they have in common with us, a lot of them do have poverty, but that's it. It's economic poverty, but they don't have cultural poverty. They don't have social poverty. They don't understand. And I've had arguments, cold-hearted arguments with my family who are now over here, who I helped bring over here. They got now PhDs, top government jobs, homes, and everything else. And I got some family members who are older on Social Security. And I'm like, how the hell you got Social Security and living up in places here that a lot of us don't even get? And they're like, oh, but why? How come, you guys, meaning us, ADOS, how come you guys can't get it together? We did. And I'm like, this is the problem right there. So I just wanted to state that as a perspective, seeing it from both sides. I love being both sides, but at the same time, it is very accurate and true that most of them, not all, they don't get it. And number two, they don't understand our perspective. And so to kind of, if you're not, yeah, go ahead.
Let me ask you a quick question.
I didn't know I was going to get a call in.
No problem. But let me ask you a quick question. Do they understand our history? Like I'm talking about ADOS history in this country. Do they understand our history in this country?
No, and to answer your question, understanding and learning it or hearing about it is one thing, but understanding is something else. No, and I still have that argument, and I'm family like Nipsey. So, with that other side, and I'm having this argument like, you don't understand what the advantage of having culture and it's a total, you're not on that level just because you're poor, because you're able to anchor yourself and build and all of that. And we've heard language, and we lost our language and culture and stuff. We know that, we hear it so much over again. It's just we don't really understand it. But I live it and I see it. So I'm just. And
when you talk about poverty, like what I'm understanding too is were they poor in Ethiopia? Like I'm not talking about when they hit the shores here, but were they all impoverished? Because I know poverty in the third world can be different than poverty in America, right? Like, it's different. Like, were these the poor? Because a lot of them come here and they're poor here. Like, you end up driving a cab here, but over there you were a chemist or whatever. So I'm just trying to give everybody, like, an idea of, like, what you're talking about without putting any words in your mouth.
Okay, so I can break it down from both perspectives, and both of them end up being the same anyway. So even within my family, I have people who were government officials, high government officials over there. So that's group A. Part of them were high government officials. They came over here. They start driving shuttle buses and all that stuff, right? So, and then these are the people now who own houses and have their children have PhDs and stuff like that. So that's that first group. But I have other family members and friends, associates or whatever, that were poor over there, but somehow they got a visa. And they got here, and they worked the system, and they got their education, and they got all of that. And my problem with that is not even that you did that. Every human being is survival of the fittest on an individual level. I get it. But when you don't look back and you don't understand and you say, yeah, I did this. No, you didn't. You did this on the backs of, and this is personal, but my ADOS side, when I brought my family PCOS type. My mom used to be a Black Panther. Once a revolutionary, always a revolutionary, but she's older, so she would be like, "Come on, well let me sit down. Let me let y'all watch Eye on the Prize. Let me let y'all," and they just had no interest. It just had no interest. At all.
They have no interest. They have no interest in what we. They have no interest in what we did and how we fought and bled for them to be here. Understand what they had no. It's not just about just not having no interest in the film. It's not having an interest in what we did and how we suffered to give you a pathway and a doorway into and out of what you came from, into America and out of, like into a place where you can get a PhD, have a house, and then look down on the people who gave it to you. That's a problem.
Yes. So again, like all your callers say, I gotta let your callers go, but that was my statement and my experience, and that ain't nothing against foreigners. I'm a foreigner myself. So any of y'all viewers that's listening, they ain't no hate, so they don't understand that. No, it's not. It's like if you can take care of you, then we gotta be able to take care of us. And my quote philosophy as a Pan-Africanist or whatever is that the greater umbrella is my Pan-African feelings. Like, yeah, as an umbrella, we should all be unified under this umbrella. That's fine if where and when we can help each other and all that from the continent to here.
Yeah, but it sounds like your Pan-Africanism is very idealistic. Like what I was saying is it sounds like that's the world that you want to live in. Like you want to live in a world where Africans, where these people, everybody, black people help black people. But what I'm saying in terms of what I see, and it sounds like you see some of it too, is that that's not always the world that we live in. And what I try to do is anchor myself in reality. I don't try to anchor myself. I try to envision the life that I want in terms of what I want for my people first. But like I can't anchor myself in something that's not necessarily real because I can't do politics that way. But I understand what you're saying in terms of that's the life that you would want to see. That's the kind of, but I just don't see it.
Well, you're right. I mean, I don't really have. You're absolutely right. It's definitely more idealistic. It's where my heart is. It's where I would like it to be. But even that, I still have and then I'll let it go. And then I just still have a reality standpoint too, and that is if I'm using this Pan-Africanism as an umbrella and we're all different spokes, if one of the spokes is broken on that umbrella, okay, then that spoke needs attention, and that attention needs to be, repaired. And so the African American that I am, was born and raised, that spoke is broke, and so all the other spokes, idealistically, should be paying attention to that spoke and helping that spoke out. And or if you're not going to help it out, don't be mad that we're focusing inward to fix ourselves, whether that's reparations or whatever we decide that's what we want. You should just be either helping or sitting there applauding, saying, I hope you get it fixed. What can I do to help? Or what can I do to get out the way if I can't help get it fixed? So anyway, I applaud you. My last question I'm going to hang up, my only question I wanted to hang up is, what would you say for somebody type in my position where we have independent conversations, one-on-one or whatever, and they say, oh, she hates black African immigrants and all that, and I'm arguing no, but so I'm going to hang up and let you answer it, but because I know you don't. It's more about that spoke. It's like, no, it's a broken spoke, but I just want to know what you would tell us listening, what to say to that argument of all these people saying, you're a separatist or whatever. So I'm gonna hang up and let you answer that.
And appreciate it. I would think and I'll answer off air. And I think one of the things she said, even about visas, what you have to understand is a lot of the poor people who come here, a lot of times you have to have wealth to get a visa. A lot of the poor Africans who come here just win the visa lottery. Like there's a lottery. I don't know how many of us know there's a visa lottery. So to get here as an African poor person means that you hit that visa lottery, like for lack of a better term, and that's how you're here. But other than that, a lot of those other people are not, and they have connections, and it's like what she said. Like, he used to be this, he drives a cab now, he says, oh, I'm poor like you, but he was a chemist, he's upper class, so it's hard, it's easier for him to climb back up. In terms of what she said, what can I do? I mean, I think, listen, there's no way for me to have so many black immigrant fans. And I don't say fan like a celebrity. I mean fans in terms of like people who are like, I enjoy what Yvette does. I stand by you. Like you can go through past shows. You can go in the comments. I have seen. It's got to be just about every African and Caribbean country represented in the comments. the YouTube comments on Facebook and the Caribbean who say I don't understand what the problem is. I don't understand what the problem is of Yvette saying we have a unique justice claim, and we have to, and you know, as ADOS, we have a unique justice claim, and we have to stand by that justice claim. Nobody has, everybody, like, you know, when people who are real allies to us really understand that. Like, for the most part, I think the people, I think the black immigrants who don't are, I think that they're the ones who are loud in the room and causing the most trouble. And I think they're the ones, they're super capitalists and they don't care. But I don't think that's the majority. And I think you see that. You know, she didn't, and understand that the woman who talked to us, she had, you know, Ethiopian family, ADOS family. She didn't have any stories about ADOS people discriminating and saying the same. Understand that all of her stories were Ethiopians not wanting to learn our history in our country. Like, you're in America, ADOS history in America, black history in America is American history. You don't want to learn our history in our country, and you kind of down us in our own country. She didn't have any stories that went the other way. See, she didn't have any stories of like, well, you know, my ADOS family really downs my Ethiopian family, because that's not what we do. We accept all comers. So like, when you think about what she said, think about that in terms of myself. We're not doing that. I'm not doing that. It is you all, like, and not the majority, but who won't get on board with us. And this is America. Like, you came here, you accept our justice claim. You're supposed to fight with us. If I'm fighting, you fight. Ain't no question of why we fighting. You here. We paid the way for you to be here. If I say you get up and you square up, then you square up because I said so. Because we've been fighting this fight, and we've been fighting the Belly of the Beast for a long time. When I say get up and square up, that's what you do. You don't ask me no questions. You don't say nothing's wrong with me. You don't look down on me. You don't say do better. You just square up because I said so. Because this is my country, and I've been doing this a long time. And my people been doing this a long time. We know how to do it. You fight what I say fight. And you fight with me, not against me. See, the whole problem is fighting against me and talking me down. We're not talking you down. We don't go around. I talk to any ADOS in the chat. We don't go around and say bad things about black immigrants. We don't have that in us because we're such a collective people. We've never really had tribes. We've never really done the tribal thing in terms of our own ADOS group. If you ADOS wherever you go. If you wherever you go, I don't care whether you're in Atlanta, I don't care whether you're in Detroit, I don't care whether you're in Colorado, I don't care whether you're in Seattle, I don't care whether you're in New York, Miami, whatever. If you ADOS, you ADOS. That's what we do. We black. And if you not even ADOS, if you black, you black. We accept everybody. So we've never really had the kind of tribal history. Even though I'm saying now that ADOS is a specific tribe with a specific justice claim, part of the reason is I've had to work so hard to do it is because we're not a naturally tribal group like you see in different countries in Africa. So we accept everybody. So it's not us who has excluded you, just like it's not me who has excluded you. It's you who talk down to us, and you got to fix that. You know, those of you who I think are the majority who are not trying to do that and not trying to be mean to us, and you talk, you know, real good in the comments, y'all got to get y'all people. Because we're not going to take it no more. We're just not. We're finished. We're not taking nobody talking down to us in the country that we built. You don't get to do it no more. That is over. And all this loud talking and shouting at ADOS on Twitter and stuff, like, you can't do that no more. That's over with. You got to understand that you're here because we built a space for you to be here. Respect that. I'm going to the next call. I'm going to 234. 234. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Good evening, Breakers Brown family. My name is Oprah. I'm calling from Akron, Ohio.
Okay.
How are you doing tonight, Miss Yvette?
I'm doing all right. Pretty good, actually.
Yeah, I wanted to... Oh, good. Yeah, I was just sitting in here listening on the phone about what everybody was saying.
Okay.
To the last caller that had called in and it was talking about her family from Africa. You know, I really do feel for her because it's sad that, you know, we want to say we want to link up with, you know, the people from Africa, but the people from Africa really aren't trying to learn about, you know, about here in the U.S. It's like, oh, well, you see all these flashy celebrities. It's like, don't get it twisted with the celebrity because that's just all smoke and mirror. And that's what a lot of people don't seem to understand. That's all fake. And, you know, if we were to go to another country, are we expected to at least have some type of idea of where we are going before we get there? So why aren't these people wanting to have some type of idea of, who we are and what we've been through, what we contributed to this country to make it what it is today? And for somebody to say, well, I don't understand why you can't pick yourself up because I'm tired of people walking on my back and telling me that I'm nothing. How about that? How about stop telling me about why can't you get me together? Why don't you help me get myself together? Because obviously, if you're seeing a problem, why aren't you helping me?
But let me just say this. But let me just say this, fam. If I built the bridge for you to be here, you don't get to cross that bridge and even say get yourself together. Like, you don't even get to do that much. You don't get to do that. Like, that's not your call. You don't even get to have that conversation. You don't even get to say, well, help me get myself together. No. I got myself together and my people. You didn't experience what we experience here. That's colonialism is not the same thing.
That's just it.
You don't get to tell me.
No. Right. And I don't think anybody from Africa is truly going to understand until they really get to that ADOS treatment like we've gotten that ADOS treatment. Because then, only then, when those scales start to fall off and you get to see, well, you know what, guess what? The way that, how our society is right now, police don't seem to discriminate. Black is black. Doesn't matter if you're Ethiopian, doesn't matter if you're from South Africa, doesn't matter if you're from Egypt, doesn't matter if you're from Libya, doesn't matter from Morocco, wherever. Black is black. That's all they're going to see. And they're going to treat you just no different from where they treat the ones that came before you that are here now.
But see, part of the problem, fam, part of the problem is, and this is part of the problem, we got to say it. It's not just white America. Part of the problem with immigrants is don't matter who they are. Like, I'm not talking about just black immigrants. It's a lot of immigrants that come here. Part of the problem, I don't care whether you're Irish immigrants. I don't care whether you're Chinese. Part of the problem is that we were slaves and people still see us as slaves and treat us as slaves. And we have not told people where to park. We have not told people, listen, we built this. You don't get to talk to me or treat me or be any kind of other way to me than you would be to anybody else. As a matter of fact, you owe me more respect. We just kind of accept it and we internalize our hatred and we say, oh, we could do better because we don't even read and understand what happened to us. So people are treating us like slaves because we used to be slaves. No. We're going to park this right now. This is over. Like, let this be over in 2019. You're not going to treat me like who we were, and who we were built it for you to be here. Be grateful. Show me some gratitude, or we're not people. We can't talk, and I will fight against you every tooth and nail politically that I can, because there have to be consequences for this. I'm going to let you finish, fam. I'm sorry.
But the thing is that they don't see that there should be a consequence, and that's the problem. There should be a consequence that all the stuff that's happened from one generation to the next, to the next, to the next. Because some of the stuff that we're going, and I honestly believe that we can experience generational trauma from one generation to the next, and we are feeling that trauma. And it seems like, it almost feels like it's worse now than what it was 10, 20 years ago, almost 30 years ago. Even though I'm not very old, I'm only 39 years old, and I remember being a little kid and having to, and I lived in a predominantly white area, and, I remember my family telling me about, who I could and could not play with. You got to watch who you talk to. You can't go over here past a certain time of night. And the people that's from different countries that are coming over here, they don't understand that level of, having that, even as a child, having that level of, having somebody have to tell you that. Unless you understand something like that, you don't know that kind of trauma. You don't know the hell that we have been through. You don't know the hell that we have, even just to get to this point. The fact that we have more people in prison, it's mind-blowing. And not even just that, we had our own government put poison into our neighborhood so that way we got this prison population that we have now. But nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to see that. The only ones I do see and talking about this is you and Tone. And which beyond, I can just not ever thank you guys enough for having this platform to actually, have these discussions and have these debates.
And let me just add one thing to what you said. Let me just add, and I thank you, fam. I appreciate it. Let me just add one thing to what you said. You're exactly right that police officers do not see. Like, they don't see. They just see what they see. They just see a black person. But understand something, and I do agree that black immigrants have felt that. And let me just add that we have always supported y'all. Like when black immigrants get like killed by the white officer, and we can go all the way back to what happened in New York. I won't even bring up the horrible thing, but like we always support y'all. That's about when I talk about black immigrants. What happens? We always show up, right? But let me just say this too. Just because, understand that lineage is all. Just because that's what the police officer sees. Like a police officer could see a leopard and see a kitty cat and a kitten and a tiger and still think they all the same cat, right? We cannot view ourselves through the lens of a racist cop. That's what I'm saying. Like we have to view ourselves and understand that we're different. I'm not going to view myself. We're not the same. Because that's kind of what Obama said. I just want to make sure that we all clear on that. Obama be like, well, when I can't get a cab, I'm black. I don't care. I don't care what a racist person sees. I understand that we're different. I understand that me and you, Obama, we're different, and we have different histories and different legacies. We have different lineages. Like and lineage has to be the prism, because Oprah could have seen Obama if she had been using lineage as the lens. Once you use lineage as the lens, it's like you're looking through a foggy little pair of binoculars, and it wipes everything clean, and you see clearly. That's what you need to see. So I'm gonna let you finish up, fam. I apologize, and that's probably gonna be the last call because we're heading on to 2 hours.
Okay, Yvette. I'm glad that
No
you
problem.
actually said that. But another thing is that with President, ex-President Obama, whatever he wants to call himself, the fact of the matter is like, you would think that this man would have done something for the community, but when our situation didn't get better when he got in office, I mean, it got beyond worse. When people get put out of homes that they've had for God knows how long, when they can't even pass on anything to their families, when they're still taking care of their grown children, when they got, this one here, that one there living at home because trying to go out because the cost of living has gone up, but the wages are staying stagnant.
Yeah.
That's a disgusting problem. That's a serious issue. But he want to talk about, I want to get a program about my brother's keeper. Well, what is you doing for your brother if he's not doing better? The man has not done anything for us. And as far as Oprah, Lord have mercy. That's a mess right there. Because how do you have something and then you was more than willing to give it up? The one thing that you had that was worth something, that could have been a doorway for a lot of people. He was like, no, I'm going to go to Africa and I want to enfranchise these people. I really don't want to mess with those people back home because I just can't do it. I can't sully my hands.
And she did it for a while, and she did some stuff at Morehouse. But I'm talking about even in terms of black women, right? She did some stuff at Morehouse, and then with the black women, she started a school. Like, what about black women here? Like you always talk,
Right. Look at the black women that are in prison. She could have did something for them. You could have did something for the mothers you could have did something for Chicago. Instead, you get a car, we're doing a book club. What is that really doing for those that are struggling and need to come out of that?
I appreciate it, fam. I'm going to let you go so we head on out. But let me just say this. I appreciate you. Thank you, fam. I appreciate you calling in. What we got to understand, too. Listen, Oprah basically said, like, she couldn't do stuff for, like, she didn't really want to open a school, do that here because we didn't want it enough. And I always thought that like black kids didn't crave it enough, success or whatever. And I always found that odd because you were giving away free stuff, and your whole show, like so much of your show was based on, especially during the latter years, the last 10 years, not the 80s. The 80s was kind of based on like it was interesting and Jerry Springer like sometimes, but like you started giving away free stuff and engaging in this vapid kind of materialism, and then you got mad when black kids got materialistic. Like it really didn't make a whole lot of sense in a lot of ways. And I don't know what else to say about that. But fam, we have reached the end of the show. We are at the 2-hour mark. I apologize. Wish I could go on forever. Always got a full line of people to talk to and not enough time to talk to them. But I appreciate it, fam. We will be back to have the conversation as always next time. Until that time, fam, please hit that like button. Please, please, please hit that like button for me. I would appreciate it. Costs you nothing to hit that like button. If you want to donate, you can go to donatebrown.com. You can go to patreon.com/ycarnell. However you want to do that. But please hit the like button. Like button costs you no money. Hit that bell if you have not hit that bell. Subscribe if you have not subscribed. You can always, if you get too pissed off, you can always unsubscribe, which I don't support because like you can be pissed off and still have an engaging conversation or whatever. But please, if you have not hit that subscribe button for me. When affirmative action was white, that is May the 23rd. That's a Thursday. We will have the Monday show and the Wednesday show. And then we will be reading When Affirmative Action Was White and having a conversation about it. And those, our book clubs are usually pretty good. So if you haven't bought the book, this is just, what is this, the 1st? May the 1st, you still have, it's not too long of a book. You still have time to read it and get it together and figure everything out. Everything. So, fam, I appreciate everybody. Finish up your libations for the evening, family. Finish up your libations. It's about that time. We headed to midnight on the East Coast to go to bed. And we're going to have a conversation next time. Okay? I appreciate it, fam. All right.
Thank you.